Canvas and, accidentally get lost on another website like coolmath.com or NitroType. Those used to be the favorite websites with my students. So, this is a nice feature that is available to us, and more seems to be added every year. So it's always worth it to check out what type of apps you can integrate into Canvas. So my contact information is available in the presentation, and I will be sure to link that one more time in the chat. And again, if we do get that catalog listing available, I will ask you later on to enroll in a sample Canvas course just so you can try out some samples. But you know what? If it doesn't work, I'll just show you what those samples look like and you'll get to try it out later. I'll try to pull out an attendance thing and I can enroll you guys later. It's no big deal. So this is the rest of our team. For elementary, we are trying to push into schools during quarter 1. And we're a relatively big team and we've split ourselves by learning community. However, if you have a question later on about Canvas, you can always feel free to contact me whether or not I support your particular learning community. But again, if you look at this, this page, it shows that I support the Southeast and some of my colleagues support the other learning communities. Again, you have a question, you can always email me, no big deal. You can also, if you look right here where it says schedule a one-on-one, you can also feel free to schedule a one-on-one appointment with me, and we can talk about Canvas either individually on Microsoft Teams. I can visit your PLC, whatever your needs are. Totally up to you. And just to kind of front feed this in advance, please look out for the July 21st memo. We are going to be offering several training sessions on Canvas, as well as some other things. I noticed we had a few kindergarten folks in the chat. We'll be doing sessions on the Reading Progress app, which is amazing. The management with iPad, starting your year with Canvas, Land School for our upper elementary folks. And if you happen to be at one of the schools that's going to use Canvas for elementary, which is like a special version of Canvas, you'll have a couple of sessions available as well. Okay. And then someone's putting something about integrating wonders. You may need to email me about that. Textbooks are relatively new for my department. We just got them on July 1st. So I know about giving people demo accounts and rostering people, but the integration with Canvas is relatively new to me. But I can get back to you with some more information if you email me, Gioconda. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and continue. And my colleague just messaged me. Is link working now? I have a feeling he might have fixed it for us. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about external tools. And you may hear this term used interchangeably with it. It's LTI. They're pretty much, they mean the same exact thing. It's basically an app or some sort of resource that you can integrate into Canvas. And as I mentioned earlier, it's awesome. The kids don't have to go anywhere else to access whatever it is that you're connecting. The other nice thing about it is that with these apps, you can actually use SpeedGrader as well to grade a lot of assignments that you create with those external tools. And some examples of some tools that are available, someone obviously mentioned some of the textbooks. Yes, some of them, not all of them, do have some sort of a connection with Canvas, and that's also considered an external tool. But then you have other apps that we purchase here at OCPS, and those are the ones that we're going to take a peek at today. We're going to look at something called StudyMate, Newsela, Nearpod, which many of you are probably very familiar with, Flipgrid, and Studio. Canvas Studio is a video recording app that's within Canvas. It has some new features, and it is also technically considered an external app or an external tool. Other things that are also considered external tools are the new quizzes, which we're not going to focus on today because that could be a whole class in and of itself, but that is also considered like an app within Canvas. So that's all sorts of fun. So we are going to take a peek at some examples. Oh, and you know what? I was just told that my PD catalog listing should work. So I am very excited. I need you guys to try this for me if it will work. And if I could get a confirmation from somebody in the chat if that link is now working. So if you click on that link, does it take you to the PD catalog? And does it let you enroll in my sample course?
Yeah, Caitlin checked and I did as well. It does. It brings you directly to it.
Yay! Okay, because this is so much more fun if you actually get to try stuff. So thank you so much, Chris. And thank you, Caitlin, since you said you were the first. I appreciate you. Okay, so if you enroll in my course, I'll give you a minute or two to do that. You will see a course on your dashboard, hopefully. Or I can also give you the direct link to the course, which actually I put here. So if you did enroll, once you're enrolled, if you click on this second link that I'm posting in the chat, it should take you straight to the course. It's also all in the PowerPoint or in my Google Slides. Okay. And then once you're in, if you just go to modules, you're going to see a whole bunch of samples. Okay. Do we still need more time? Are we doing good? I don't have modules listed. Uh-oh. Let's see. All right, so when you're in the course, hopefully it'll look like this. And in the far left, you can click on modules, or you could just click on this button that says reading samples. Hopefully one of those things will work. Okay, and then you should see some samples. So the first one, it just says home. Interesting. All right, let's see if I can quickly troubleshoot this. Navigation. Ho, you are 100% correct. Modules. And save. You know, sometimes even the techie people have their techie issues, right? Okay. Hopefully you'll see a button that says modules, or you'll see a button on the home page that just says reading samples. One of those two things will hopefully take you to my modules. All right, someone says good now. So I think we're clear. Thank you. Okay, so the first one that we're going to take a peek at is this module that I entitled Student Engagement with External Tools. I think we have about like 20 people, more or less. What I would like you to try, there's really two examples here. I have two different Nearpod examples, and then I have one Flipgrid example. So if you've already used Nearpod before, you may want to start with Flipgrid. If you're familiar with Flipgrid, you may want to start with Nearpod, just so that you can kind of experience something that is new. I am going to put a timer on, right? And I would like you to click on one of these samples and just experience it. You do not have to try very hard. It's not a quiz. It's not a test. I'm not going to actually grade you. Just, click, click, click and get a feel for it. Okay. And if you finished with one, go ahead and check out the other. And as I mentioned, I am going to put a little timer for myself for 3 minutes so that we know how much time. Oh, and I just realized I am on mute, so none of you could have heard me. I just mentioned that somebody in the chat mentioned that they were having issues with Flipgrid, that it was taking them to a different website to Epic. I just tried it from the student view, and it let me just record a video right now in front of everyone. So it, I don't know if maybe you're on a different device that's not your OCPS device. Maybe it's an iPad if you happen to be a K1 teacher, or your iPhone or something. Okay, that it could be the issue. All right. So did anybody try out actually, I don't even have to ask. I can find out who did the Flipgrid because I'm on the site. All right. So a couple of you did try out Flipgrid, which is awesome. So I am back in my teacher view here on Canvas, by the way. And I can see who posted. So we got Laura, Gioconda posted. I was going to say Annette, but that's me, obviously. And then I just did my test right there. Um, if you've never used Flipgrid before, definitely you should check it out. You'll still have access to this course, even though this session is over later on. But if you've never used it before, basically it's a video discussion board. You can think of it like that. And they actually just recently went through a name change. So they used to be called Flipgrid and now it's Flip. It's very interesting. I logged in yesterday just to get a picture of the logo and I was like, oh, they changed it. It's now Flip. So it used to be Flipgrid, now it's Flip. But essentially you can record a video, the students can do it as well. It posts like a discussion board and then people can respond to each other if you choose to do that. And it's really neat. It's a great way for kids to do things like tutorials, talk about vocabulary. In the past, I used it when I was teaching language arts to have students, do like character analysis. You can import pictures and little websites and put emojis and add music. It's like very cute. It's very similar to all those apps that they love, like TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram Reels. So it's something that they're very familiar with. Very little training, I assure you, is needed. And what I like about it, unlike those apps, is that the teacher has control and you can actually adjust the settings. So you can make it so that they can't comment on other kids. They can only do video comments, or maybe they can only put text comments. You can review comments before they're posted, all sorts of fun stuff. And I highly recommend you put some of those settings on if you use this app. because last time I used it was with 6th graders, and middle schoolers are very interesting. We'll leave it at that. So definitely make sure you enable some of those settings. And the other thing I really like about it is a lot of these external apps, when you're looking at it from the teacher point of view, which is what I am doing right now, and I'll exit, I'll go back to my modules and I'll show you what I mean by that. So this is, my teacher view. I'm a teacher here. And then I'm going to click where it says Flipgrid example. That was the name of the assignment that some of you did. And when I'm here, obviously I can see who's posted, but on the side, I have this button that says Speed Grader. Wherever you see that Speed Grader button, that's just like where you can grade stuff for the kids, whether it's this type of assignment or other assignment. So from here, I can see who's posted. I just click on the right and it pulls down a little list for me. And it'll highlight in orange. It'll put like a little orange dot next to the folks that have completed. So Gregorio, thank you. You did the assignment. You get an A. Let's see, Laura, you're getting an A too. All these people are great. You can grade from here. I can preview the video. All right, we're doing some peace signs. Fabulous. Okay, I can add comments. It's very, very fun. I didn't have to go to Flipgrid myself to do any of that. It's fantastic. Okay. And you can do this with a lot of those external tools. So Nearpod will give you the same ability. It'll put the results of the Nearpod on this side, on the left side, and it'll give you a space on the right side for you to put your comments and your grade and all of that. Okay. Now, a big question that I usually get is, these assignments are cool, but how do you add it? Okay. So I know that that is usually a frequently asked question that I get. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Actually, let me make a brand new assignment because that'll be easier than trying to edit an old one. So we're going to pretend I'm making a brand new assignment. I'm going to click on this plus sign in my module. And right now it's set to assignment, but this is where I would go if I wanted to add a new page or a quiz, etc. But I'm going to do assignment. And it's going to be a new one, and I'm going to call it sample. Okay. So I'm going to click on my sample assignment, and I'm going to click on edit. And then from here, you'd put your directions, your points, all of that good stuff. And then this is the important part right here where it says submission type. You're going to change it to external tool. Okay, because this is an external tool. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit so we can see that better. Okay, and then you have to find the external tool. So you have to click find, and you have a whole list of things that are available here. If you don't see what you are looking for, you may need to add it to your particular course. Usually the only people that might have issues with that are typically resource teachers, coaches, if you happen to be like an intervention specialist, people who might not typically have kids rostered to them on Skyward. Sometimes when you guys get a Canvas course, it doesn't have all of the apps in it like it does for a regular teacher. So if you don't see it, it's fine. You can add it in. Okay. But for this example, I would click on Flipgrid. Okay. Oh, I have to click select. Actually, you know what? Let's do a Nearpod because it's the same exact thing for a Nearpod. So I'll click on Nearpod and it'll open up the Nearpod website, like a mini version of it, and I would choose, whatever it is that I want to attach. For Flipgrid, it's similar. It just tells you, do you want to make a new topic or do you want to use one? And you choose either option. If you're making a new topic, you just follow the directions to build a topic. It's very, very easy, and it tells you what to do. So let's say I want to add this thing here, this Nearpod. I would press select. Okay, I would adjust my dates and all of that, and save and publish. Okay, and then now, if I go to student view, the student will see the Nearpod, or the ability to click on the Nearpod in this case, and that's it. And it could be a Nearpod, it could be a Flipgrid, any of those apps that you can connect. Okay, do we have any questions, by the way? Someone posted something about glitches using Nearpod with the iPads. So There were some issues with iPad. So I used to be the face of iPads for our department. We now have a new person, Elizabeth, who was hired recently. She's going to be taking over iPads, but there were some issues with iPads. In particular, if you set it up on Canvas so that it pops into a new window, that wasn't working. So if you don't have it pop into a new window, it should be fine. The other suggestion I have about Nearpod is, especially if you're using it on an iPad, I would always embed it into a Canvas assignment. You can have the kids just go straight to the app on the device as well, and that will work. But remember, they'll have to get your code to go into the Nearpod presentation, and they'll also need to log in with their Google account, which might be a little bit complicated if you have K1 kids. Okay. And someone asked if I already have those made. So I have a few Nearpods that I've created, over the years. However, each of the curriculum departments usually has some Nearpods that they link in the CRMs. Maybe Chris could speak a little bit to that. I know that the language arts team usually has some things, and that's what I'm mostly familiar with. Math sometimes does as well. Definitely the secondary folks, which is more of my background, they usually post some things in Nearpod as well. Also, Nearpod has its own library. So if you've never seen that before, this is my Nearpod account, by the way. But on the side, on the left side, if you log in, you have something that says District Library. That's where you can find Nearpods that are created by our curriculum folks, the different program specialists in each of the curriculum teams. Or if you look at the Nearpod library, you can search for Nearpods that Nearpod themselves has created. Okay. And there's all sorts of fun things. I've found videos on, vocabulary lessons, and um, they have virtual reality field trips. I mean, it's all sorts of really, really cool stuff. The only issue is that, and someone said something about YouTube. If you find a video on Nearpod, a lot of times it will not work for my elementary people because the videos that they have on Nearpod, 99% of them are usually from YouTube. So even though it says Nearpod all over the place, it's actually just pulling a YouTube video. So that won't work for you. But for other lessons, there's tons of stuff. So the virtual reality field trips will usually work. The cute little presentations they have with the games and stuff will work. So that usually is fine. Okay. But yes, if you want to do a video through Nearpod, that might be complicated because they're YouTube videos, and YouTube is blocked for our elementary students. Not for the teachers, but for the students. All right, so we're going to go ahead and continue. Any other questions about adding a Nearpod or a Flipgrid? Okay, I'm going to leave student view and go back to my course. And again, if we don't get a chance to try all these samples, you'll still have access to this course. You can play with things. You can also schedule an appointment with me, and I would be happy to show you something. Okay, especially if it was something that interested you and you wanted to learn more. It's going very slow. Here we go. Okay. Next thing that I wanted to show off were, and this is actually a relatively new feature, and I'm going to give you about 1 minute to check this out. There's another section on here, another module called Canvas Annotation Tool. So this was a new feature rolled out last year. Okay, if any of you used Cami at some point on Canvas or, separately from Canvas, you might have, liked to annotate PDFs or having the students annotate a PDF file. Canvas has its own annotation tool now. So check it out. I'm going to put 1 minute on our timer. And I put 3 samples on here. These were some samples that we made last year or last school year. We stole them from the CRMs and just turned them into an assignment. So just try one out. Again, you don't have to really try. You can scribble on it. No big deal. But just try to get a feel for it. Okay, so I'm going to cut that at the 1 minute mark. Hopefully, you clicked on one of these assignments and got to try it out. Did anyone get to try out the first one where it says sled dog text features? Was there anything that you liked about using the annotation tool? All right. Well, Melissa, you tried it out. Awesome. And again, I just clicked on Speed Grader and it lets me see who's completed the assignment, which is fantastic. Um, I don't remember what they had to do for this assignment, but I'm sure it was something about circling text features. Melissa, you did a great job. Laura, yeah, you gave me a circle. You did some comments on the side. Fantastic. Kayleen said some of the tools didn't quite work. It depends. Sometimes I have had that issue as well. And I think it depends on the type of PDF that you're uploading. Sometimes when you upload a PDF file, it's almost like it's a picture of a document versus like it knows that there's text involved. So maybe you were trying to highlight and the highlighting didn't work. Yeah, you see it's the highlighter. So it's really how whatever the type of PDF is. Like sometimes like if I take a screenshot of something and then turn that into a PDF, that's like a picture basically. Even though it's a PDF, it's still a picture and it won't let me highlight on it, but it'll let me do the other thing. So it just, it depends what kind of PDF you're putting on there. But usually that's the issue. I believe this will also work with Word documents. I personally have not tried it out, but my colleagues have, and they said it does work. So you could use a Word document or a PDF, but usually PDFs are, you know, the good thing. Everyone usually can get a PDF of something. And again, if you're using a lot of Google Docs or graphic organizers, things like that, that are all on Google Docs, when you go to File in the top left corner, you can always download something as a PDF file. So all of those fabulous resources that are on the CRMs, you can convert them to PDFs if they're not already a PDF. So think of all the awesome things that you could annotate and you don't have to touch any papers, you don't have to lose a paper. It's fantastic. You don't have to make copies of anything, which is even better. Yeah, so Gioconda, the one thing I would just double check is that whatever PDF file you're getting, just double check if your mouse, if it lets you highlight the things on it before you even upload it on here. If that's working, then the highlighter will work in the annotation tool. If it doesn't let you do that and it highlights the whole picture of the text, then you've uploaded a PDF that is just a picture, and that highlighting tool will not work. So again, it just depends where you're pulling that PDF file from. So PDFs like this one, this is like a screenshot from probably somebody's textbook. So that means it's just a picture. But if you take something from Newsela or I don't know, one of those online websites, for news articles, things like that, usually the PDFs you get from there, it'll understand that there's text that you can highlight and things like that. But yeah, the simple trick for that, just try it out with your mouse before you even upload it on here. If it lets you actually highlight sentences, the highlighter tool will probably work. If it's not letting you do that, the highlighting tool will not work, but they can probably do other things like they can use the pens and the comment things and stuff like that. Okay. All right, so we are going to look at our next example, and I'm going to put a timer for that one as well. So the next thing I wanted to show you guys is this, which is called Canvas Collaborations. So if you're like me, I am a Google person. I love using all sorts of Google things. Um, if you have never used collaborations before, this might be something that interests you. This is something you have to turn on in your class. So right now, you can see on the left side, I have something that says collaborations, but it has that I with the cross on it. That means my students can't see it. You are my students. You cannot see it. But if I go to navigation and I'm going to enable it, okay, and I'm going to save, this is very important. If you don't save, stuff doesn't work in Canvas. When you click on collaboration now as a student, you're going to see that I have two different groups set up. Okay, if you click on one of these, it's going to take you to a Google document that I made for you. You didn't have to log in. I didn't have to type your email address. It's fantastic. Um, and if by any chance it's not working, I'm going to double check that I did my groups correctly. I might not have done it. I can't remember for this class. Uh-oh, wait, I forgot. I have to edit. But it is a very, very neat feature that's already built in. Oh, actually, and I don't think, here we go. I'm going to just click on all of you and you're all going to be in the same group. Oh, there's another Annette here. Hi, Annette Collins. Oh, actually, you're Annetta. I'm sorry. I got very excited. It's very rare for me to meet Annettes in the world. All right, so I'm going to just put all of you in group one. You can all collaborate on the same document. Have fun. Okay, but now if any of you could try clicking where it says collaborations on Canvas on the left side, it should work and it should take you to this document. You close some windows. I have a lot of things open. Okay, so one more time. If you're on Canvas on the left-hand side where it says collaborations, you should see something that says group one sample ELA collaboration. When you click on it, it'll open up something like this. Oh, okay, and it's working because I see a lot of you there. So what I like about this, again, I don't have to photocopy anything. I didn't have to type anybody's email address. I can group kids. So if I have different centers going on, I can, make groups within Canvas and just go, okay, center one is going to get this, center two is going to get that. I'm going to work with my small group over here. Boom. It's fantastic. I didn't have to photocopy anything. It's just another easy way to get something done. For one of the other sessions I'm teaching with secondary, I use this to do like a sort. I've done graphic organizers on here. Um, you can have kids just collaborating to make a slide presentation, all sorts of things. Now, the one negative I will say is if you leave it on, obviously they'll be able to access this, whenever they want. And, especially with our 4th and 5th grade kids, you may or may not want them to just get into a Google Doc and start typing with each other, which is why I leave it turned off. So on the left-hand side, notice how collaborations is visible. If I go back to navigation and just, unable it, it'll disappear. And they won't see that collaboration anymore. If you want to delete that document later on, you don't want them to have access to that document. I did put some instructions in my slide presentation right here on how to delete, how to make groups, how to do all that stuff. And this guide right here, the very first one, Canvas collaboration guide, that is a guide that I made as well. Okay. And again, if you need me to help you out, set something up, if you just want me to take a peek at something you've created, please email me. You can set up an appointment with me, whatever you like. All right. So it is 2:41. I still have time. Awesome. Okay. Next app that we are going to try out. This is usually a really fun one for folks. This is called StudyMate. And there's a couple ways that kids have access to this. You could make it an assignment. Okay, you can make it an assignment, or you can make it just so that it's available on the left-hand side. So did I enable it? I feel like when they published to the catalog, some of my things got disabled. Okay, so I'm going to enable my StudyMate. All right, it's going to be something that appears on the left side of your Canvas course. As soon as I save, let me double check that my samples are there. Okay, good, they are. Okay, so back to the program here. So you can access StudyMate two ways. So you can click on my assignment, okay, in my StudyMate module. Or you could just skip that and just go on the left-hand side and click on StudyMate and try it out. Essentially, StudyMate is, think of it kind of like a flashcard game program. It's very, very simple to use. It's really easy. It's not very fancy, but it's really nice for review activities, review vocabulary, review math facts. Um, it lets you add some pictures on there, and it generates different games for whatever information you input. So if you input a list of questions and answers, it'll generate a couple of activities related to that. So it might do multiple choice quizzes, crossword puzzles, word search, all sorts of fun things. Would I use it for kindergarten? I think, Laura, if I was using Canvas with Kinder, I would probably just stick to things like Flipgrid and Nearpod. That might be really easy. If you're looking for things with a lot of games, I would try something out called Lumio. Okay, Lumio. And that's not really an external app for Canvas. You could link it in Canvas. You know, you just get a little link and put it in there. But every time I've shown kindergarten and first grade teachers Lumio, they love it. It is like the super version of Nearpod. It is amazing. So like Nearpod probably only has like 2 or 3 games. Lumio is 90% games and like cute activities and things like that. So check that out. Somewhere in my slides presentation, I have a link to the CDL resource page. It's a website that has like tons of guides and information on everything that we buy here at OCPS, and we buy a lot. Lumio is one of the pages. All right. If you cannot figure it out, just message me, and I would love to show you Lumio, or even send you a video or something that you can just watch. Like, it's really easy. It's not anything out of this world. It happens to be one of the apps on Launchpad. So if you click there, you might even be able to just figure it out. Okay. But it's really, really cool. I think I would do that. And if you wanted to somehow integrate it into Canvas, you could always just get the link to your activity and just, you know, put it there and the kids could click on it. So if you're working with your teacher group on one end of the room and you want the kids on Lumio, they can just click on it from Canvas, or you can use something like Apple Classroom and just, you know, beam it to them. Um, the only downfall is that they do need a code to get into your activities. But what I really like about Lumio is that the code is the same for like every activity you're ever going to do. The teacher just has to turn on the activity, if that makes sense. So it's really cool. So, and obviously anybody can use Lumio. It's available for K-12, so it's not just for kindergarten, but it is not exactly an external tool for Canvas. So that's why we're not talking about it officially today. So, but like I said, you can link something and just put it on a page in Canvas and, you know, call it a day. That's one way of doing things. All right, so if you had a chance to try a StudyMate, you would have seen that I had some different examples on there. And StudyMate works a little bit differently from the other external tools that I showed you. When you click on it, it makes you watch like a video, and you can look at it and it'll show you how it works. I did put a guide that I made in the presentation, so please check that out. I think my guide is easier than the video. Did a lot of research on that. But essentially you can make you know, one of these StudyMate present, or it's not even a presentation, it's a StudyMate. Think of it like flashcards. It's really simple. And it'll just generate games for you. So I'm going to just click on my first one that says phonics practice, and it has me as the teacher plug in information and it just generates activities. I think it can go up to 12 activities depending on the type of information you put in. It works really well with things like questions, answers, vocabulary and definitions, simple things like that. It does let you do pictures, but obviously the pictures don't work for all of the activities. So if you did pictures, like in this phonics practice, the crossword puzzle is going to look really weird because, you know, that was some of the information I put in. But let's try fact card. It has apple. I can, oh, why is it not letting me? Oh, am I supposed to do something? Shuffle. But it has me practice some different things. So think of it like a flashcard activity. It has some flashcards. I can flip the card. Apple, I can go to the next card. Cat, ka, etc. Okay, so it is really fun. It is really easy to use. I think with kindergarten and first grade, it might be a little bit I don't know, it's not as cute as I think the kids would like. But definitely for some of the older students, I think this is fantastic. Typically, when I show this at schools, teachers like to use this for science um, review, especially fifth grade. I know that you guys have your test, and a lot of math facts. You can I could totally see this for like multiplication practice, secondary math. I've seen them put formulas to memorize. I mean, you can do all sorts of fun stuff. And the reason why it's a little bit different is once you've created your study mate, instead of you could make it an assignment, but it doesn't really show you the type of data that you probably want if you want to make it an assignment. So it'll just show you whether or not the student did the activity. It's not going to tell you if they got all of the things correct. You know, it's really it's a true review activity. Okay. And if you've created one, in order to open it up for your class, you have to just click on this menu and click on make available in course. If I click that share button, it's going to generate the website or the link, and I could share that with a colleague. I could also just share it with the kids, but it won't track them that way, if that makes sense. And again, if a colleague shares this with you, you can actually copy there. So like I actually stole this Algebra 1 one from the secondary people, and it had, oh, here we go. It has a button that says duplicate and edit. So when I duplicate it, that's how I got my copy of the Algebra 1 study mate that I stole from somebody else. But where did you get the info for them? Okay, so I'm going to suspect that you're asking me, is there a library of study mates? No, there is not. Everyone always asks me. Yes, I did make these from scratch. I wish there was a library. There is no library. However, if you're like me, and I know a lot of teachers might do this, you probably have resources or something that are very easy to copy and paste. That's usually what I do. I used to do things when I was in the classroom called like word of the day, like to study prefixes and suffixes and things like that. So I already had vocabulary lists that were typed up, and that's what I can use for this. It does let you import a spreadsheet or like a Word document, and it just lets you pull information off of that, or you can manually type or copy and paste. So it does at least do that, but there is no library of study mates that have already been vetted or pre-approved or anything like that. However, some curriculum departments have made study mates, and if they have, usually they will mention it in the CRM. I know that elementary science has actually created a couple of these, and quite a few of the secondary folks have. I don't know for sure about elementary math or language arts, but if it's something you like, you can always bother those people and see if, hey, they can make some nice resources to share. But again, copy and paste, throw it in here. You can make a study mate in like under 5 minutes if you happen to have something that's easy to copy and paste from. Okay. All right. So we are going to move on. It is 2:51. I think that puts me at 15 more minutes, right, Chris? Because we end at 3:05, or is it I'm sorry, 2:55.
Sorry, the next session starts at 3:05.
Okay, so
So I
that
want
means
to
I end
make
at
sure,
2:55.
yeah, and that way I can give them the code to get their credit for this, and then they can move over.
Fantastic. All right, the last thing I will show you, and if you are able to try it out in the Canvas course, it would be fantastic. It's Canvas Studio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this little video so you can get a feel for what it is. But again, it's a video recording app that's built within Canvas, but it has a new feature now. You can actually create video quizzes. So if any of you have ever tried something called Edpuzzle, this is very similar to that, except guess what? This is free for you as an OCPS teacher. We buy it for you, and we've integrated it into Canvas. Whereas Edpuzzle, it only works with YouTube videos, and you have to pay for a subscription. So I think it only lets you do like certain amounts, and it doesn't let you share. So it's not as good because you have to buy it. This one is free. So we're going to watch the video because it's very short.
Welcome.
You guys
I'm
hear the
Annette Esteville
sound?
Perez. This video demonstrates how you can embed quiz questions or annotations in a YouTube video using Canvas Studio. I will also show you the available student data.
So there are like 3,000 species of cicadas worldwide, but really just two groups. Annual ones that pop up every year in the summer, they sing their little song, they die in the fall, RIP. The other group are the periodic cicadas, and they emerge in cycles of either 13 years or 17 years. So what are they doing for 13 or 17 years? Other than jamming to Usher? What a good question. They're like chilling underground, drinking tree sap from roots, and then they're like, oh shoot, I'm 17, it's time to party. And they dig little tunnels up from the soil and climb a tree trunk or a plant stem or really anything vertical to shed its little under...
minus 136 and 9 ones, just like we got when we did the math. Now it says we need to take away a 100. Well, if I take away a 100, that's one of these big squares. What are we going to be left with? 200, a little bit harder because we're going to have to regroup twice. We have 306 minus 179. We have a 6 and we need to take 9 away. We can't do that. The 9's too big. And we can't.
All right, so I'm going to address the YouTube question that we had in the chat. Someone asked about whether or not this would work with YouTube videos. And so technically, yes, the Studio video app, it does work with YouTube. However, and I think I mentioned this earlier with the Nearpod situation, K through 5 students cannot watch YouTube videos. That is blocked on their computers. If you want to do a YouTube video and play it for the whole class and use this kind of like a way to chunk your video, like to stop and talk or something like that, that will work. But if you want the kids to be able to watch a YouTube video independently and answer questions, that will not work. However, Studio also lets you record videos. And if you've never used Studio, it does let you record videos. So like that teacher that was doing the math problem on the whiteboard, you could record yourself doing something like that. The kid could record themselves doing something like that. You can record yourself reading a passage. You can record a tutorial or your screen of your computer doing something. Those types of activities will work. And once you've recorded yourself, you can always add those questions or the little annotations later on. So that is one way of using Studio in the elementary classroom. Okay, now if you would like to see an example of that, I believe I did, I want to say the example that I did put into the course that you're all part of, it should be an example of me reading an article from Newsella, I think is what I did. Oh, actually I did two. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we have a Newsella text that I'm reading, and then I just copied the questions from Newsella and just typed them in, and boom, that was my video that I made. Super easy peasy, really easy to make. And one thing I really like about that is that that's something I can put a student to do in an independent workstation, or maybe they're absent and they need to do something, or I'm absent. That could be an emergency lesson plan. Super easy. The other thing that I put on here was kind of like a modeling task. I did a video of myself breaking down a writing prompt and then kind of modeling how I would start going through an article, and pulling out information or evidence, to support that what I was going to write about. So that's one way of doing it. And I think the other example I put at the top is really a science example. It's like a teacher who recorded themselves doing a lab. So those are some just different ideas on how you could use Studio to make videos and to do the questions. I know that YouTube obviously will not work, but if you ever move on to 6th grade through 12th grade, it will. And you never know, the YouTube thing might change in the future. It is a nice feature though. If you do go to an upper grade, it removes the advertisements from YouTube, which is really nice. So, but if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat or email me. And I believe Chris is going to share the special code so that you can take your survey.
Yes, I will. Thank you very much for spending the time with us this afternoon. I am going to put the code up here, so go ahead and get that done before you move to one of the Q&A sessions this afternoon. And remember, you navigate to the Q&A session through your Canvas course. You have to go to one today to receive the credit, the pay, and everything for that section. Yesterday, there was not a quiz for the Q&A because we had the little intro session. But today, in order to get the credit, you have to choose one. I would suggest going to one that matches whichever course you went to this morning. So if you went to math, go to the math one. If you went to ELA, go to ELA. But you just have to go to one of them. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same one. I would just recommend it. Again, the code is airplane. So this is session 4. Make sure you're going to session 4 for it. I'm going to leave this code up there. Once you've done that and submitted your quiz and you're sure it's good, you are welcome to start moving over to a Q&A session. They will begin in about 6 minutes. So get that done and then you are free to move over. I'll keep this open though in case there's any issues with it.
And thank you very much for attending the session. I appreciate it all. And Chris, there's a question in the chat about where to put that code.
Okay, so I would share my screen. I want to keep the code up there for a little bit longer, but you go to your Canvas course and then you click on modules, and then you should be able to scroll down and see the session 4 quiz. It's listed under quizzes. I can switch over to that in just a minute here. I just want to make sure that this code stays up long enough for everyone to get it. The code is airplane. I got a
Dusty,
little
I totally understand.
good fast internet. Oops, sorry. I exited that on that. There we go. You guys do have until 4 o'clock to get the codes in because we know Canvas apparently has been having some issues, I guess, with the load and the amount of people. We don't know. We got some notification earlier.
Yeah, it's
So,
elementary and all of secondary as well.
yeah, so mine,
Doing best this week.
you're not alone here. Mine just took a long time to load. I am in now, though, kind of halfway. So you have until 4 o'clock today to get it submitted. Yeah, it is super slow. I'm going in right now so that I can show, and mine's going slow too. But we did extend it until 4, so you still have a full hour. I'm going in now. It does work, just going a bit slow. All right, I'm going to share this screen. I'm going to switch it to student mode so that it'll be like what you see. Yours might look slightly different, but let me share this. Stop sharing this and share this. Okay, so let me pull out the chat here so that I can see if we're following. Okay, so there we go. I see an all done. Perfect. If you go to your modules right here, you guys should see day 2 quizzes and afternoon breakout session 4. Good, you got it too. Nice. And then begin. and then airplane. And you'll just choose that one and you'll hit submit. I won't hit submit here because it'll submit it as me and it'll probably mess up some of the pay stuff, but airplane and submit. And then that's pretty much it. I'm going to put the code back on the screen. And pull chat back out again. Perfect. I'm going to be ending this session in just a second here because we're going to be moving over to the Q&A one. So make sure that you get that submitted and done. We should come back to the first, it's different from the first session. So if you go to that Canvas course and go back to the modules and you go to the, I'm going to share it. I can share it. Share. And this, nope, this screen. You'll go to this second one right here, the schedule with session descriptions. It's different from the one this morning. There's a Q&A one, which will have all of the people for math, and I'm going to keep scrolling. I'm on July 13th. Keep scrolling. There's 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 2 p.m. Here we go. The 3:05 to 3:30 sessions, and you choose which of those three you want to go to. So it's different from the morning one. It's page 12. It's the last page on the course descriptions. And then I'm going to be heading over to the math Q&A, but you're welcome to go to any of the three of those. So I'm going to be ending this one.